screen. How do
Hi,
you do
everybody. You're watching the Tanya Mullings Show, and welcome to the BarnBurner TV network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download both the BarnBurner and Zingo TV apps in their respective app stores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, and Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, also on all smart TVs 2016 and forward. And tonight I have one of the top half dozen reggae guitarists of all time, member of iconic Canadian bands Crack of Dawn and Messengers, well as 40 years with Toots and the Maytals. I have the legendary guitarist and my good friend, I call him my big bro, Carl Harvey is here tonight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tanya. Can you imagine? You're like, you used to be a little baby in arms, right?
I know it.
Now you're interviewing me.
Don't tell nobody you changed my diaper, though.
No.
Oh my God, don't we go way back? A lot of stories,
Yeah.
eh?
Oh, yeah.
It's so good to see you. And before I start off, of course, your birthday just passed Wednesday. I got to say happy belated birthday to you.
Thank you.
And I can give you this opportunity to probably big up people because I know your Facebook and your phone and everything was blowing up. So maybe you want to take this opportunity to thank everybody.
Yeah, I'm thanking all those people who took the time because I tried to get back to everyone. I swear to God, this time I actually took 2 days trying to go through all the comments and everything and try to respond to everyone. But after I got to a certain number, it's like my computer wouldn't accept it anymore. It just scrolled right back up to number 1 again. And it's like,
yeah, they don't load anymore.
God, they won't load anymore.
Yeah, they don't load anymore.
I know.
And
so
yes, and of course, I can't start this interview without sending my condolences to you and the whole members of Toots and the Maytals. And condolences, of course, to Toots, Frederick Toots Hibbert, his entire family, of the loss of the legendary Toots on September 11th. My condolences to you, Carl.
That is still sinking in. I swear to God.
I know.
Like, because I have so many pictures, so many videos. It's like he's still alive to me, Yes. And then I have to, every now and then it's like, bum, bum, bum. Yeah, hey, bro, that's just not now. That's yesterday.
Yes, I know. But, I know you have a lot of memories. And of course, we cannot do this interview without talking about some of those memories with Toots. And we definitely are going to get to that before this interview out because nobody has better stories than you, I'm sure, on the road with 40 years experience with him. I got a funny one. I'm going to make sure that you don't leave out before this interview's up. You got to talk about that, and we will get into that. But I want to talk about your journey because you've been in the industry for over 4 decades.
My God.
Born in Jamaica and came to Canada at a very young age. And I want you to start, just let my viewers know how you started in the industry.
Well, I didn't really start off with the intention of like being a professional player. I think my first time playing was in church, which a lot of us start there, right? Yeah. And I think I'm trying to remember what song I was playing. I think like Beyond the Sunset or some, one of the standard 70 Adventist, very conservative styles, right?
Yeah.
And I was playing the melody on the guitar. And I was never one for sitting down and reading something and playing it exactly like I saw it. Right?
Yeah. So
as I started getting into it, I started embellishing it and putting in a few licks of my own in there.
And so you're saying everything was self-taught. Everything was self-taught, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, nothing is really self-taught in the truest sense of self-taught because I'm always learning from somebody else, right?
Yeah, but what I mean is, were there lessons taken?
Initially, I took lessons for, I think it was 6 weeks. There was a deal. There was a deal at a music store, right? I got to give you that. There was a music store on St. Clair and Vaughan called Mundinger's.
Okay.
Right? You got a guitar to take home with you if you took lessons. but they would only give you that guitar for 6 weeks. After 6 weeks, you had to buy your own guitar.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
I took lessons for 6 weeks so I could get a guitar. And then I got a paper route, bought my own guitar, and started teaching myself. Started teaching myself by just listening to records and trying to learn what I heard, you know?
That's funny. And now look at Rasta Casta, but we're going to get into that a little later.
Yes. So like I said, church is where I started originally. That didn't last too long because I wanted to jazz up the tunes a little bit too much. So the pastor had a little talk with me afterwards. I'm like, this is not going to work out.
In church, not gonna work.
Today it would, because now when I hear bands playing in church today, I can't tell the difference, right?
Yeah,
apart from the words, it's like a party happening up there, right?
Yeah,
but in those days, you better play the melody, no strain, no licks, no blues.
Yeah, but then you're saying you wanted to play the jazzy stuff, but then you were inspired by Jimi Hendrix. So when's the rock come in?
Oh, when does the rock come in? Oh my gosh. I was in high school at the time. I went to Vaughan, and there was a Portuguese guy there. His name was Mario da Costa, nicknamed Lemon. And Lemon in the summertime always used to show off to me to show me that he tanned darker than I was. I'm like, dude, you know.
I get that too.
You ever get that? Right? It's like,
oh.
And then he says, yeah, you got to hear this cat, Jimi Hendrix. And like, he was totally into Hendrix. He wore the vest and the bandana around his head. You know, he'd wear a bandana around his bell-bottom pants because that was the thing at the time, right?
Yeah.
So one day I went over to his house after school and he played Purple Haze for me. And I'm like, that's the guitar? Because that's the sound of what I was hearing. I couldn't relate that to anything else that I've ever heard, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I got to be able to do that, you know? Yeah.
Okay, so that's how that come in. So how come I don't hear you talking about the tuba?
The tuba, oh my gosh, the tuba. That was some straight up prejudice right there with the tuba, I thought. I'll tell you how the tuba came about, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you're going to high school, you get a chance to request an instrument.
Yeah.
Because I was going to music and band. So I put in my first choice was saxophone. Second choice, trumpet. Then I had all the other reed instruments underneath that, right? And I had trombone as like a last resort, right? And I sat down and I listened to that music teacher call every instrument. I mean, I'm getting lower and lower and lower in my chair because I'm like, yo, all the saxons have been called. My name is up there.
Yeah.
All the trumpets have been called, all the horns, you know, my name up there. And then he pulls his glasses down like this at the very last one, looks straight at me and says, Harvey, tuba. I'm like, yo, dude, tuba, you know? And I mean, I have my own story. Look, I had to sit on 2 books to reach a mouthpiece because we're playing in band and I wasn't playing a sousaphone, I was playing a tuba, right?
Yeah.
And I'd have a tuba on one chair in front of me, right? And I'd sit on 2 books so that my lips would reach the mouthpiece, you know?
So next time I see you on stage, I want to see you play the tuba.
Hell no. Hell to the no, no, no.
You know why I laugh? It's funny because my son went into the regional arts program too, and he went in there for guitar, and they did the same thing. He wasn't playing guitar,
tuba?
they put him on flute, and he's like this.
Oh my gosh.
He was not impressed. So I know what you mean.
I just remember having to take my instrument home. Okay? Yeah. And everyone's got a nice, neat case. They got a violin, they got something that's in a case.
Yeah.
I'm walking down the street with a tuba. There's no case for that. I got a hold with 2 arms walking down the street. Luckily, I didn't live far from school, right? But I'm just like, okay, this guy is just out to punish me. You know, the black kid with the big lips, tuba.
I'm not hearing. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you back? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I had an incoming call.
Oh.
It affected that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Those are stories that people are probably going to laugh at that didn't know. Poor you, eh? Walking down the street.
Yeah. The funny thing is, out of that school came a couple of professional musicians, right?
Yeah,
There's a violin player named Lenny Solomon,
yeah,
and he's like, a virtuoso, right?
yeah.
And myself. And I would say that we have been the two most successful. Now, Lenny was a senior to me when I was in school,
Yeah.
right? But so far as like my music class and all that, I am the only one out of the whole music class who actually made music a career, right?
Oh,
Despite
nice.
the fact that they gave me the tuba.
So you should have went back and did you see your teacher that gave you the tuba? You ever saw him again?
I never saw him, but he may have seen me.
I bet you when she gave you the guitar, then he would have said, I started him with that. I was the guy.
Yeah, well, in a way, he did start me because he made me angry and determined.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So when did it come in? Which came first, actually? Messenger or Crack of Dawn?
Crack of Dawn.
Crack of Dawn.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Crack of Dawn
Crack of
predates
Dawn.
everything else. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about that, the Crack of Dawn. Big group.
Well, how did I get in Crack of Dawn? Like prior to Crack of Dawn, right? I've been playing with Jackie. That's when I met your dad, and went through that whole thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was playing with an artist named Toby Lark. I had like a house gig. I don't think those exist anymore, where you play at a club for a whole year. I played at what is now Lee's Palace, used to be called the Speakeasy.
Yeah.
And there's the Blue Orchid downstairs, Speakeasy upstairs, and I played there like for at least a year, backing up Toby Lark,
Yeah.
And so with Toby Lark, I was playing a lot of R&B, funk type things, but mostly R&B. She was into like Aretha and Gladys and, typical, soul R&B stuff. Then that club was closing down, and my brother, who was one of the people who started Crack of Dawn, right, asked me if I would come and be a second guitar player with Crack of Dawn. And at the time when I joined Crack of Dawn, Jackie Gabriel was the lead singer. And who else was in there? Carl Otway, Mark Smith was on bass.
Carl Hathaway was there?
Yes, Otway was playing drums.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
I'm laughing because I just posted a video of me in the 90s and he's playing for me at the Jerk Pit.
There you go. Yeah. And who else was in? And we had 3 horn players: Dwight Gabriel, Trevor, and Alvin Jones, right? No keyboards. In the beginning, it was just my brother and myself, and the bass player that held down the rhythm section. Keyboards came later. After we did the album, there were a lot of keyboards on the album because we used a studio guy named Ford. And so we needed to get a full-time keyboard player to fill all those parts. And we got this guy from Poland. He was the only white guy in the band, named Jacek Sobota, who was a monster keyboard player.
Yeah.
Oh. So Crack of Dawn was the nucleus. From everything else came after that, really. All the big stuff, like Messenger came out of Crack of Dawn. There was another band before that called Inner Flame, where some of the members of Crack of Dawn formed that. And then I went off with Toots. And
so the three Juno Awards came from Messenger?
The Junos, okay. So the Junos now came from myself and Carl Otway. We had a production team.
Okay.
Right? Called C+C. And we produced Kim Richardson.
Okay.
Right? So we got most promising female.
Oh, nice.
For Kim, right? And we also won Best R&B for Kim as well, right?
Wow.
And then after that, I kind of left off on my own, and then I did Hands Up, Baby hands up, da 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 da. I kind of hated that tune actually, but it was the biggest, the biggest Canadian tune I ever did. You know, every time
Yeah.
in the beginning when I heard that tune, I used to squirm, right? And then
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this thing is so like bubblegummy, like, you know, I'm like,
Yeah. It's
you
those
know,
were ones that hit. I say the same.
you never know,
I'm
you
like,
never
what?
know, right? What changed my mind about that song was one day I was driving down Bathurst Hillcrest,
Yeah.
listening to the radio, and a guy called in from the hospital to request that song. I'm, you know, just quite by coincidence, I'm listening to the radio. And he was telling the disc jockey that he was in the hospital, he just had surgery, but that he had this wonderful vacation with his wife and how happy that song makes him feel and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, you know, I got all foggy and stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, you know, that's what it's about, right? It's about how people feel. It's not about how I feel personally, you know, but it's about how it makes others feel.
Uh-huh. So you said that you work with some greats, not just Jackie Matu, you work with King Tubby and also Prince Jammy. What was that like?
Boy, that was some different times. In 77, I think, I went to Jamaica with Jackie. We were there for 12 weeks. Me, him, Joe Isaacs, and a couple of guys.
Joe.
Living in the Intercontinental Hotel downtown on the waterfront, right?
Yeah.
It was probably one of the most violent times in Jamaican history so far as election. And, you know, it wasn't really an election year, but it was on every night, shooting every night, you know?
Oh, geez.
So me, the little Canadian boy who grew up here, right? But I wasn't in the thick of it because I had to go into where these guys were going. I'm not going to be staying down that place by myself.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I was at King Tubby's, like late at night, Waterhouse, right? About one night, we're in Waterhouse at King Tubby's, right? And we couldn't hear what was going on outside.
Yeah.
But there was some gunplay going on outside. Somebody got shot in a bar just down the street.
Oh, geez.
But guess what? We looked on the closed circuit TV and we saw these guys outside the studio, right? Guns in hand, doing the grave digger skank to what we're playing inside. You know, some, and I'm like, yo.
That was that sign that they just like it.
Yeah, they just like the music, right? Inside, like,
yes.
I'm like, this session is going on for a long time tonight because I ain't leaving here till them guys are gone.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
King Tubby was the place. Waterhouse at that time, anything went on, right?
Yeah.
I remember one day we were there, a bunch of us, you know, Bunny Lee, Striker Lee, you probably know about Striker.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He was outside, I was around the side of the house, right, eating a mango, and pop, 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 pop. And then Striker runs around the side of the house. Almost. Now, he's supposed to be a big, brave, tough guy, right?
Yeah.
And he comes around the side of the house so fast, he almost knocks me off my feet. And
you're probably going, what are you running for? You live here.
I'm like, yo, what are you running for? Right. Bobby Ellis, saxophone player.
Yeah.
He just jumped on his motorcycle, right? It's probably like a 2-stroke engine, right? Pop, 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 pop. He's gone. Oh man.
Oh my God.
Crazy
That's funny time. Yeah, you also had a big hit, Messenger Man, with the great Willie Williams.
Yeah, that song we recorded, I think Jackie and I don't know who else did the basic tracks, but I did my parts here at a studio that this Spanish guy used to have up Finch near Young Street.
Yeah.
I can't remember the guy's name, but Jackie liked that little place. It was basement studio, like maybe an 8-track or 16-track. He had something like that, right? He had a state of the art for that time, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the first times I just got my talk box, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the master man. And I'm yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now you did all this work with, you work with a lot of artists and stuff, but you also did solo albums. Your first solo album was Ecstasy of Mankind, and it began, it was a
Don't
collector's
talk
item.
about that.
What? It's a
Don't.
collector's item. How can I not talk about it?
Oh
It's your
my
first
God.
solo album. You see, to my viewers, he's very humble about all the work that he does.
Okay, let me give you the backstory on Ecstasy of Mankind. Right?
Okay.
I was in Jamaica, like I said, for 12 weeks. That's 3 months. Right?
Yeah.
I'm in the studio almost every day.
Yes.
Every day, Bonnie Lee says to me, "Yeah, good to man, we're gonna record an album, you know, and da 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 da," right?
Yeah.
And it's going on and on and on, and I'm just like, "This guy full of shit." Oh, can I say that on your TV show? Sorry.
Okay.
I already said it. Already said it, right?
I missed it.
Okay, good.
So I guess it was okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm like, this is not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
The night before I'm supposed to go to the airport the next day,
Yeah.
one of these said, "Kids, I could go to studio now." I said, "Wait a minute, what studio? I'm leaving tomorrow." Right?
They
He
move
said-
slow over there. Yeah, you'd be sitting
I'm
there. I
like-
know exactly what you're talking about.
So we went to Tubby's that night and I played like 12 tunes back to back to back to back, to the point like I was so frustrated. Every time I would say, "Okay, listen, let me do that over." And
Yeah.
Bunny Lee's,
You're like, it's fine.
"No, man, and the sweetness that." I'm like, "What
First
see?"
stick on the best stick.
I'm like, "Sweetness." I said, "I made a mistake, man. Let me do it over again." Huh?
Yeah.
And he's just like, "What that?" Oh,
Tell
phone.
him you're on an interview. You can't speak
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
I can't speak. I thought I turned that ringer off. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but I know what you're talking about in Jamaica. Everything is like you're waiting for a long time, you're there, and then everything's rushed when you're leaving,
Yeah.
you know, and everyone it's fine, it's fine. I know exactly what you say. Love thing for me on the Real Rock Rhythm was one
Yeah.
take. I didn't even know Bobby Digital was taking it, and he said, "Man, that nice, that good."
That done. That already.
But I mean, it's still hot today, so I can't argue with the man. I guess he knew what he was talking about.
Well,
But at the time, you're like me. No, let me do it over.
yeah, I want to do it over, because
Yeah.
like, me, I'm the perfectionist, right? But
Yeah.
there's a certain thing to not knowing that red light is on.
Yeah, well,
Right.
that's what happened to me. I didn't know it was
Yeah.
on.
So yeah, you think differently.
Oh yeah,
know?
it's true. It's true.
Yeah, once you know that red light is on, it's just you're trying to be your best and you're trying to be perfect and
Yeah.
da.
When the pressure sets in.
Yeah, and that all of that is plus equals stiff.
Yeah. You're right. You're so true, because I went in there nervous, like, because I'm singing for him and I'm thinking I got to impress him. So I was already nervous, and then I didn't know the light was on. So yeah, I would have had double stiffness then.
Yeah.
That's so true. So you say, okay, of course, that was a collector's item. So am I allowed, since you didn't want to talk about that one, am I allowed to talk about the second solo album, The Times?
Yes.
That
You already
wasn't
talked
so much
about
pressure.
ecstasy.
This one wasn't so much pressure.
Oh man, no. The Times was like me really like having control.
Yeah.
Being the artist, being the producer, being the engineer, doing everything. And at the end of that whole thing, I'm just like, I don't want to do that again.
You're like,
play this, play that, play that. It's great as a songwriter to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But there is a certain chemistry and magic that you don't get when you do that. Now, a lot of people have done it very well and successfully, right? Prince, his albums were like that, right? Playing everything himself, right? Stevie Wonder did that on some of his albums. Some I think trying to think which ones he did that on, like Music of My Mind, or there's some that he did that on. He stopped doing that later because it takes so long. It took me like 5 years to make that record.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you're doing it yourself, so I shouldn't say wow. That's probably normal time if anybody's trying to do it on self. If you have a team, it's a whole different story, right?
Yeah. And I had other players. I mean, like Shamaka Ali played drums on that, right?
Yeah.
I wound up playing mostly bass and guitar. I had a really good keyboard player. Wade O'Brown played some keyboards on that.
What? That's my boy.
Yeah. There's a keyboard player named Tony Z.
Yeah.
And he was a B3 player, played with Buddy Guy for years.
Yeah.
And I met Tony Z on the road playing with Toots, right?
Yeah.
So he was playing with Buddy Guy here. They played down at Molson, right? So I just grabbed him after the gig and said, "Hey man, we're going to the studio."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice. Like, and like, I know this because you're an amazing guitarist. I mean, everybody loves you.
Listen, let's put it this way. I have my moments. There's some moments when I think, who's that guy? Sucks.
No, I mean, I'm just saying you're well recognized. I mean, like you said, one of the top guitarists of all time in reggae music. That's you, Carl.
Other people say that. You ain't going to hear me say that.
You are. When you play, I like when you do the teeth thing. That's so cool. That's just cool. That's the Hendrix school. I know, eh? Your guitar is displayed in Hard Rock Cafe in Montego Bay. How does that feel?
Wow. I'll tell you. That I've never seen that one, right?
Yeah.
Hard Rock bought a number of guitars from me.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are like hundreds of Hard Rocks all around the world.
Yeah, right? I know.
Yeah. So I don't know. They probably have about maybe 4 or 5 of my guitars. The one that really blew my mind though was they have my original 00001 Rastacasta.
Yeah.
In their guitar hotel in Hollywood, Florida.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is like their flagship spot, right? Have you ever seen that Guitar Hotel?
No, I haven't seen it.
You even go online.
I knew that because I looked on your page. I had liked it when you posted it a long time ago. Yeah. I was like, what? That's so cool.
Yeah, the Guitar Hotel is probably one of the most exciting buildings to look at. The building itself is a light show. It's shaped like a guitar.
Yeah.
Right? And they've got, I mean, I'm sharing honors with people like Carlos Santana there. I'm like, holy mackerel, how did that happen? It's like, couldn't believe it. I walked in, a friend saw it, took a picture and said, hey, your guitar is at the Hard Rock Guitar Hotel. That the keyboard player from Toots, he lives down there. He says, my brethren was down there and he saw this guitar and took a picture and sent it to me. I'm like, what? Right? So
that must have been like, what? It must have felt good though, eh?
Yeah, that was really a shocker,
That's nice. What an
honor. Then when I got home, I'm just skimming through Instagram and I saw the other one down in, I think, in Montego Bay.
Yeah, okay. So there was 2. Oh, sorry, my bad. I didn't realize.
Yeah, they have 2 of them up,
Nice. And then it's a far cry from playing tuba to now Rastacasta. You designed and crafted the electric guitar.
Yeah, well, I can't take.
Teacher watching. Hopefully, he's watching. Yeah, he designed his own guitar.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing with design and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I conceptualize stuff, right?
Yes.
As a player, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Right. So, and over the years, I know what I don't want in a guitar. Yeah. Right. So basically, a lot of it was just really eliminating the things that I don't want, and it kind of creates the things that I want. Right.
Yeah.
But so far as me, like with my own hands crafting that thing, I mean, I value these fingers too much, So, I mean, I work with a team. I work with someone who can take my ideas.
Yeah.
To creating a computer mock-up of it so I could see what it's going to look like. Right?
Yes.
And then I deal with the person who has the hands for that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then, I got a painter, I got a person who does the CAD design, and someone else who does all the handcrafting stuff, and I just watch, I'm like the father, right?
Yes.
The mother delivers the baby, she does everything, right? But the father just stands one side and takes the credit.
The Rasta Casta. I like that name too. It's nice. See it on the shirt, everybody. You gotta go. Where can they go? What
You go,
site can they
Jess.
go to find it?
Oh, I thought I had my thing here.
Tell my viewers, follow him at Carl Harvey Music. If you just tuned in, I'm interviewing the legendary guitarist, Carl Harvey. And he's getting calls because he's just
No,
popular.
you know what? I just realized that even though I have my phone in Do Not Disturb, that certain people can still get through. So
yeah.
The only way to remedy that situation is turn the damn thing off.
Yeah. So you've shared the stage with some big people, and I don't want to say, when I say big people, I kind of feel funny saying that because to me, you're right at the same level as all of them. But I know for you, it's an honor because some of these artists and bands you have probably looked up to as well, like Rolling Stones,
Heroes, like these people are like people I just never even imagined I would even meet, never mind, and I honor to Toots, all honor to Toots for that.
Yes.
Because, if it wasn't for him, then I wouldn't have been there. Simple,
Yes. And we can't leave out Dave Matthews, Sheryl Crow. Those are some of the people that you met along the way being on tour with the late great Toots. And you also were a part of the Grammy award-winning album.
Hold on it. You see it? No mistake.
Yes.
You see it?
I can't. It's up there. It's far. You should have zoomed in more.
Oh, okay. It's behind me, so I'll go get it.
Yes, you got to come get it and show everybody. That's for Best Reggae Album, 2004, Toots and the Maytals, correct? Me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, see it there? That is nice. Yeah. That is nice. What a nice thing to have.
I never thought I'd have one of these. Who from my music class that didn't play tuba has one of these ones?
That's right. You tell them.
Hey, this thing.
That is so nice. That is so nice. Congratulations. Oh my gosh. So speaking of that, you have that Grammy due to working on True Love, the Grammy award-winning album with Toots and the Maytals. You joined Toots in 1980.
Can you believe that?
And now you lost the great Toots Hibbert. I want you to have the opportunity now to tell some of those stories on the road with him. Actually, I'm going to butt in, and I want the first story to be about your back. You have to tell the story about your back.
What story about my back?
When Toots said about your back, you had a bad back and you had to stand up and play.
Oh my gosh. I told you about that, right? That's right. That's when I hurt my back before flying down to do Sunsplash one year.
Yeah.
Right? And I got to Jamaica, went straight to rehearsal from the airport.
Yeah.
Rehearsed for a few hours. And we were playing that same night. So just picture this. You remember those early morning fights from Pearson?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So I was on that sucker, right?
Yeah.
And now when you have an injured back, one of the worst things you can be doing is sitting for an extended period of time. So there I am, I'm sitting on the plane. And then I get down there and I'm sitting at rehearsal because the guitar, it weighs about almost 8 pounds.
Yes.
Right? And over an extended period of time, that thing really puts pressure on your back, even if you're in great shape.
Yes.
The night when we finally went on stage at about 4 a.m.,
Yeah.
By that time, I was in so much pain, I was ready to wet my pants.
Yeah.
Right? And then, so I am counting, okay, the next day, I'm just going to stay in bed. I'm not doing nothing.
Yeah.
Toots come and get me. We're going to studio, you know. I'm
You're
like,
ready.
studio? Says Trent, I can't even move. Say,
Yeah.
you all right? Come, we're in studio. And I remember we were at Anchor Studios at Ochi.
Yeah.
I was in so much pain, right? And it would take a long time for me to do my part. I'm going to do my part. Right?
Yes.
And so till finally I said, okay, man, I can't take this. So I lay down on the seat bench, which is like a wooden thing with padding on it, you know?
Yeah.
You know? And here I am now expecting a little bit of sympathy and so, or some empathy or whatever, right? Man says, come on, man, get up and play, man. Your back, what happened to your back? It's like the answer to everything.
Yeah.
Herb. And I didn't smoke.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, who all this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, pain.
Yeah. So he's like, suck it up. Suck it up.
Suck it up or take a draw and shut up.
Suck it up. Shut up. Boy, was he ever fit for his age, I'll tell you that. Ready to go.
Unbelievable. He was doing,
Yeah.
I think he was doing the splits.
Yeah.
Up until, I'd say, his 60s. He was still dropping and doing the splits.
Yeah.
And then he hurt his knee one night and it never returned, never came back. And he was, I know that upset him. It's like, okay, when he couldn't do the splits anymore, it was like, okay, I can't do the splits. You ain't playing the guitar with your teeth.
You should have said to him, here's some herb.
I didn't have to say that. No, I didn't have to say that to him because he was already doing that.
Oh my gosh, the stories.
I was thinking about Toots today, right?
Yeah.
And one thing I learned from Toots, that if I were to pass something on to any artist, do whatever you're doing with conviction, right? I would see him go to the front of the stage with his guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
And play some stuff that as a musician, as a guitar player, I know that what he's playing, but throw some rope on me, right? To put it nicely, right?
You might try to take away your spotlight.
Yeah, not even just that, but he just playing. He does, you know, but he's doing it with such conviction.
Yes.
That the audience are like, yay. You know, if he went up there and played the same thing, like really timid, like he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
They'd be like, what the? And I'm talking exactly the same notes.
Yeah.
Right? But because he went up there and he did it like, yes, this is what I intend to play and this is it.
Yeah.
They just accepted it.
Oh my gosh, too funny. Any other funny stories or something that you would know that nobody else would know about him that you'd like to share?
There are too many. There are.
I know, eh?
There are too many. I remember back in the early days, I was looking through some pictures.
Yeah.
And I saw this picture that I took from inside the hotel of Toots, Rally. I'm not sure if Jerry was there that time. I think Jerry may have been there too. So we talk about the original Maytals, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He had a nephew with him. Forget that guy's name right now. But all these guys had their suitcases out on the street, on the curb, in front of the hotel. And I'm in my room, I'm looking, I said, what's going on? So I grabbed my camera. I used to be a big shutterbug, right? So then I said, well, I better find out what's going on. So I went downstairs.
I'm already laughing and I don't know the story.
Here, you find out what's going on, right? So this was like our first major European tour, right? So we weren't staying in 5-star hotels yet. Okay. I went downstairs and I said, "Party, what's up?" You know?
Yeah.
I'm saying, you know, see the bed in the hotel room. How much of your audience speak Patois? Because I can only tell this in Patois.
Okay, this is worldwide, so I don't know.
This is worldwide? Okay. I'll keep it straight. Right? It says, "Don't you see the beds in your room?" And I'm like, I was in a room by myself. I'm saying, yeah, it's kind of small.
Yeah.
Because, right?
Yeah.
But see what happened when they had, at that time, some of us were sharing rooms, and his nephew was there like as a valet to help him out and so on, right? So, you know, he thought he had a room when they said there are 2 beds, but they're like 2 single beds. I mean, like tiny beds, and they're right beside each other. I mean, like,
you put the hang off.
really, really close, side by side, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Jamaican men, they
No. So everybody out that door with the suitcase.
they're not sleeping that close.
Joke. They want to change hotel.
They want to change hotels. They're not sleeping that close to the next dude. Forget it.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody scotching in the corner on a chair. That's too funny. Oh my gosh, that's when you call management. What's going on here? Toots probably said, Toots probably more room, I'm good.
Oh, listen, even up until recently, I've a million hotel stories where he'll just go into a place and, no, I ain't staying here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh my gosh. But of course, big loss to our industry. He is a legend and will be missed. And I know yourself, right now, it's going to be a different journey for you, and it will take time. But I think for you, it'll be an opportunity to, you know, do your thing that you've put aside, your own personal projects that you put aside, and maybe you can find, you know, help to console you through the loss of Toots through your personal music that you're going to put out, you know, your own project.
Yeah, well, I think it's forcing me into a position that I've been avoiding. you know?
Yeah. So, you know, because like I said, you work with everybody else and you've been like steady on the road. I know once this COVID thing passes, I'm sure you're going to be.
It's going to be
flying
nuts.
out quick.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be doing your thing with, I'm sure there's tons of people that would love to have you working with them full time. And I'm lost for words because I know how that feeling is, and to be so close to somebody and they're no longer here. And unfortunately through COVID, you're not able to be there and at a proper send-off, which is
it's the worst time possible.
Yes.
You know, can you imagine now, say, even if I were to go to Jamaica right now?
Oh yeah.
2 weeks quarantine when I get there.
Oh yes.
By the time I'm out of quarantine, everything is over.
Oh yeah.
And I got to come back here again and quarantine for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate situation because in real life, I'm speaking for myself, it doesn't really allow you to get closure, I feel, when you're not able to be there. Yeah. It's like not a close, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I would like you to talk about the last time that you were with Toots.
The last time we were together, we played a show down in Miami at Magic City Casino.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we played with Billy Ocean. It was a great show.
Nice.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Billy Ocean in years. The last time I saw Billy Ocean was right here in Toronto when that club, I think it was the Copa down at
Okay.
Young and Davenport. I forget, yeah. And he had just had that big hit with Caribbean Queen and all that stuff, right? And then, you know, like his whole life kind of went south, right? But
Yeah.
he's made a fantastic comeback. His voice is like spot on. The same
Nice.
guys he had playing with him back then, everyone's still kind of stuck with him, right?
Nice.
And it was good. He and Toots were just like in awe of each other, you know?
That's nice.
So they both of them were hanging out in the hotel, you know, not the hotel, but in the dressing room, which was like some trailers that we had, some nice trailers.
Yeah.
And we did that gig. We're in the hotel talking about the year because we had a full year. So after the gig was finished, I was flying back to Toronto the next day. He was going back to Jamaica, right? So I was in his room afterwards, you know, because you can always smell the fry fish and blah, 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 coming from his room, right? So
in the hotel.
in the hotel, right? So if I want to find a snack after, I know where I can go, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, we were talking about some posters. The irony of this thing, I'm telling you, sometimes the universe is working in some ways that we don't even understand what's going on until afterwards things become clear. I was upset about a poster that the promoter in England had printed. Right?
Yeah.
And the poster said, Toots and the Maytals, you know, final tour. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. And this was supposed to be for May.
Yeah.
We had a bunch so we were supposed to play in the UK and then back to the States, back to Europe, like continental Europe, and back to the States again. So we're gonna do like East Coast, Europe, or England, back to the state, back to Europe. I mix back and forth twice, Europe and the States twice for the year, right? And I'm like, who did this? Who put that this was our final tour, right? So I went to him, I said, did you know about this? And he says, no, I didn't know about it, you know? And me and him were talking about that in his hotel room, and he says, wait till I get them. He says, when he was saying to me that when he did the interviews, when he did the press things, he was gonna blow the whistle on the promoter, right? And say that, you know, he didn't know anything about this and he's not planning for this to be his last tour.
Wow.
We didn't even do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So that blew my mind, man. That blew my mind because I don't know why I was
well, that was
physically
I was a thing to make people come out and say, oh, because this last
exactly like,
see him.
Yeah. Like, you know, the Stones, all these guys have done this thing, you know, final tour, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I saw that thing and I was upset. I don't know why, because normally I don't get upset about stuff, you know, period, like that, you know.
Because he had plans to keep, there was more touring going on. You're already booked to keep going.
We already booked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And even for this year, when it was obvious that everything was going to be canceled for COVID, they already started booking next year. Everything was already being moved to 2021.
Yeah. Wow. That's something.
So this was like, you know, that meteorite that comes out of nowhere in us.
Yeah. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, of course, condolences to the entire industry, his band, family, and yourself. Again, a great loss to our industry. Before we get out of here, I just wanted to ask you a question for your personal self. Is there anybody that you would like to work with? I know you're a guitarist, you produce everything. Is there anybody that you would like to work with as an artist or work with on the road that you like would be like, yes, I want to be with this artist? or the opportunity to work with them?
Well, there are a few. There are a few.
Yeah.
I've worked with Bonnie Raitt before, and I really have a good relationship with her. So yeah,
Oh man, I always wanted to sing her song over. I like her. I
Yeah.
Can't Make You Love Me. I love that song.
Oh, what a tune! Yeah, she's got some great songs. You know, I'm down for working with Bonnie anytime, right?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite people and guitar players, Carlos Santana.
Yes. I don't know why I thought you worked with him. I thought you worked with him before on stage.
No, I mean, I've played on shows, you know, like where we were opening for him, but not working with him together, like on a project or in the studio or playing together.
That would be wicked.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Can you let my viewers know all your social media to get a hold of you?
Okay, so Instagram is at Carl Harvey Music or at Carl Harvey Instruments, which is like if you want to find out more about, you know, Rastacaster and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I believe my personal Facebook thing is Carl Harvey Music, Facebook, you know, / Carl Harvey Music.
Yes. And I can't say thank you enough for being on the show. I know it's not an easy time for you, so I appreciate you coming on and sharing those memories. And of course, your legacy that you've done all these years in this industry. I feel honored to be your friend and longtime brother.
And you're my little sister. What are you talking about?
I know. It's so funny. I keep saying to people, it's funny to interview somebody you know, but I'm like, you've done so much. And like I said, you're like a big brother to me, and you're so humble after everything that you've done in this industry. And I wish you nothing but success as always. And God bless you. And again, thank you for being on the show, Carl.
I don't normally make predictions, but I'm going to show you how life works.
Yeah.
Right? Don't be surprised if this year Toots wins a Grammy.
Yes.
Right, for the new album.
Yeah.
Right. And there has been one thing that I'm really kind of sore about.
Yeah.
Is that they have been tinkering with putting us in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, he deserves it.
Absolutely, and it really kind of ticks me that it more than likely is going to happen, and it's going to happen posthumously, right? And that is something that I really wanted him to experience.
Yeah, that's the sad part, because they say, give me a wreath before me dead. That is what Bob Andy said. And that is the sad thing, that it always happens after the fact.
Afterwards.
Unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with. But he's deserving, and hopefully all that happens, and then you and me can have another interview, and you can show me another Grammy. Again, I got my countdown. Thank you again for being on the show. This show can also be heard on the BarnBurner radio network on its 122 platforms. Please check out barnburner.ca for all the news. BarnBurner, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. It's the Tanya Mullings Show right here. Catch you same time, same place next week. Have a great evening, all. Blessed. Take care. Bye.